Hi, boys and girls. It's Mr. Yates and Miss Garcia. In this video, we're going to help you to get ready for the Ember question of the day for chapter 13. And to help you get ready, we want you to focus on finding evidence from the text that best answers the question. And for this lesson, we want to talk to you about why you need to support your evidence with ideas. Miss Garcia is going to talk to you about two examples that we have here and explain why one's good and one could probably add a little bit more to it. Go ahead, Ms. Garcia.
All right, so let's take a look at student A. So this one was from the city of Ember. I don't remember exactly what chapter it was from, but it was a previous question of the day that we gave you guys, and it was asking about whether it was fair or unfair for Lizzie and Looper to be eating the food that they're finding in the storerooms. So let's take a look at what student A told us. So student A said, "No, I don't think it is fair for Lizzie and Looper to be taking rare stuff from the storerooms, and here's why." So that's a great beginning with an answer sentence example. She's answered the question, and she included those key words like Lizzie and Looper, storerooms, and she said whether or not it was fair or unfair. And then going on, she said, these are her lists as to why she thinks that. She says, "My first piece of evidence," which, great telling us that, "was on page 85. Great proof." She included her page number as to exactly where she found it in the chapter. Then she goes on to say, or he, I'm not quite sure, "When the author states that Lena asked Lizzie," and then she used quotes, "why do you get good things and not other people?" So then she goes on to explain to us, "This shows that I think it is unfair for Lizzie and Looper to be stealing rare things because other people don't get what they steal, so it's unfair to the people." So she did a really good job at providing that page number, the quote, which is her evidence, and explaining how that evidence shows that it is unfair, why it supports her answer. So that he or she, I should say, did a wonderful job on that. Then she goes on, or he, I really need to stop doing that. My second piece of evidence is on page 84. Once again, she provided us that proof with explaining what page number it was on. "When the author states that Looper steals things, then sells them at high prices." Then they go on to explain how that evidence supports their answer with this sentence, just like Mr. Yates is underlining. "This shows that I think it's unfair for Looper and Lizzie to be stealing things because Looper didn't even work for the items that he sold, nor does he deserve them." So they go on to explain why that evidence helps show that it was unfair, which initially supports their answer. So this person did a really good job following that biceps rubric. They included the beginning with an answer sentence, their ideas, BI cups. E was for evidence. They definitely included two pieces of evidence. BICE, sorry, I have to go through it. P is for proof, which they provided, which was the page 85, page 84, and then S, which, yes, it does make sense. They answered the question, so they did a really good job on those things.
All right, great. Thanks for breaking that down for that student, Ms. Garcia. In student B, we looked at this one, and they did a lot of good things. First of all, they started off with an answer sentence over here, and I'll underline, we're looking at student B right now. This student said, "I don't think it is fair for Lizzie and Looper to be eating stuff they find in the storeroom." Great answer sentence. They're off to a good start. First, on page 82, Lizzie knew that she shouldn't take the cans, but she did. Second, on page 84, it said that Looper found some rare things and they were taking them for themselves. Last, on page 85, Lena and Looper were taking all the good for themselves. A couple things that we noticed here that we wanted to share with you that I think this student could have done a little bit better, and when you're doing your own answers for questions today, boys and girls, you want to consider. First of all, make sure that your evidence is accurate. Here where it says, last on page 85, Lena and Looper were taking all the good for themselves. Actually, it was Lizzie that was taking some of the good things and Looper. So be really careful to make sure that your evidence is actually accurate, to make sure that you're correct about the evidence. Another thing that we want to do is when we're talking about our evidence, make sure, like here where it says first on page 82, Lizzie knew she shouldn't take the cans, but she did. And that's pretty good. And I'm fine with that. And I think she has her page, the student has her page number there. Second, on page 84, it said that Lupe found some rare things and they were taking them from themselves. Okay, I think that's all right. What is missing here, boys and girls, and I want to bring it back to what this student A did, is they actually said the sentence that this shows, I think it's unfair for Lupe and Lizzie to be stealing things because, and that is the sentence that is missing in student B's answer. Right here, they should have put in something here about Lizzie knew she shouldn't take the cans, but she did. This shows, I think it's unfair for them to be stealing because Lizzie was taking things that she shouldn't have been. Now, the other person here could have also said second on page 84, where, let me put it here. On page 84, where it said Lupe found some rare things and they were taking them from themselves. That student could have added in, I think that shows it was unfair for Lizzie and Lupe to be stealing things because they were taking them from themselves, and that was unfair. They should have been sharing them with others and giving them to everyone. That would have been a good way to explain why that's unfair. And the last is actually kind of saying the last thing. The last sentence is sort of the evidence is sort of repeating itself again. It's saying Lena and Lupe, what should have been Lizzie and Lupe, were taking all the good for themselves. That's kind of exactly what was said up here. They found some rare things, were taking them for themselves. So you're kind of repeating the evidence. And again, they probably should have explained why that evidence helps show that it was unfair. So the big thing that student B needed to do, and I'm going to put this here to remind me, overall, nothing that is, nothing that wouldn't make this better would be just to add ideas to it. And that's the thing I'm going to say is to give this point right here. Please remember to give your ideas and explain how your evidence answers the question. And like Ms. Garcia noted, student A actually does that by giving these kind of sentences. This shows that I think it's unfair for Lizzie and Lupe to be stealing because. When you've got those because sentences in there, you're actually adding your ideas, and that's really important. So we want you to take that into consideration when you are doing your Ember question of the day for chapter 13. Thanks for listening, boys and girls. Bye-bye.